Okay, today I'm going to show you how the throws work in my BeatEmUp template. This is the kickboxing template, but the other ones are going to have this mechanic as well. I might be adding another throw mechanic to which I'm prototyping at the moment in my own game, but this one will grab the character, perform an animation, and then put it back in its previous position. Right. So if I show you what's going on here, see if we can. You have to click for some reason, otherwise it doesn't do anything. Right, I've got the sphere trace there. That's gonna tell the other character to perform the animations and stuff. And then we got this, and yeah, they're both doing their animations, and then there's an event to tell it to take damage. That's all very simple if you're a human, but the computer is not a human, and you have to tell it loads of other stuff you wouldn't even thought of telling a person. Right, and for those of you who want to make their own animations, we have this. Right, as you can see, that's ongoing, and the enemy's animations start here, not on contact. And there you go. But also, let's see if we can get his animations showing. Oh yeah, here we go. Right, now I've got both their skeletons showing. Right, you can now, if I show you this origin, I could just tell you, but this way it'll stick into memory. They both share an origin, so that's important. And you also want to know the point where they connect, because until then the enemy's going to be doing its own thing, and we're going to fire a sphere trace that's going to tell him where to start, and you can either tell the montage where to start, or you can just cut the first few frames. And the animations in essence are that simple. But when you're telling Unreal Engine what to do, because it's a computer and not a human being, there's a lot more to it. Right, I'll start by showing you the enums. We got button input. I've based my button inputs on pads because yeah, that's what I play with. I mean, I started playing with game consoles, so I prefer pads, and it's a way for me to organize things, so that's what I do. And also got direction, full direction, that comes into it as well. I think that's on the output strike data. Let's see if it's in the button. Striker off. Let's see, do we use this? Yeah, it uses this striker struct as well, and it's also used for the pokes and other special moves. So, and this is gonna be where the sphere trace comes up, and yeah, it has stuff in there for strikes too. And the stance, you'll be changing the stance of the enemy, so that struct's important too. That'll be changing throughout, but yeah, that's covered in more detail in the previous video. There's also structs some big Tonkov structs we need to have a look at. Very important structs we need to have a look at. Input strike data. Yeah, we need this. It uses this information, the direction you pressed, button input, stance, whether or not you're falling or crouching. You'd have seen that in the previous tutorial if you watched it. If I remember right, some information is borrowed from, some information might be borrowed from this. It certainly uses this struct. Yeah, it does. Right. The montage for left and right, and the opponent montage. Launch self, hit actor. We could put that in the throw. That's just anim notify. That's just set off by anim notify, and you put the data in. Put the data in here. Yeah, you put the data in there, and it's in the previous tutorial. I go through it in that, and there's a lot of information in there that isn't really needed for this. The throw, for the throws, right? So what else we got? Now this is the actual throw struct. It ended up needing very different mechanics to the pokes, like the punches and the kicks and that. Right, we got an array of buttons, output strike data's in there. The stock you're going to use on the left and right stance, and the enemy montages for left and right, amount of damage. The new stance, this is the stance the enemy will be in once you finish the move. If you watch the previous tutorial, you'll know that you can actually change the stance in the animation, and then with the output strike data, you can tell it to switch whether or not you switch in stance, and then it'll do it right at the end of the play montage event. And this is forced to ground, because you can end up with your character floating in midair. To be honest, it can still happen, because there's a lot of things that can cause that, but I've got a function that helps put your character on the ground. Right, so now I can show you how the information flows through the system. Right, well, starting in the side view character, which I've just clicked on and opened up his event graph. Right, so these are the buttons you're pressing. This is removing it from the button array. This so that you don't accidentally perform a throw, and also prevents a load of other glitches, because if you don't press the right buttons, but you press a load of them, it's not going to do anything. And this is making sure you are not blocking. And I've got this event which sorts through your input to figure out whether you're trying to perform a throw or you're just trying to like punch him in the face or whatever. Well, pokes or throws, let's put it that way. It's the bottom one for pokes, and this is the one we're interested in. As you can see, building the array there. If more than 2 buttons are in the array, it basically figures, hey, you must be doing a throw, and then it gets this is the array in the H2H character, and there it is again. And then we're opening up that, and then we're calling the H2H, and we're changing the button array in there. going across, you'll notice this is ticked, the throw boolean, and then all the other stuff, it knows what direction you're going and whether you're falling or not. You might want to add a direction array and process that here as well, but people don't, there aren't many games where you have to press directions to perform a throw. I think Tekken you might. Right, and yeah, then we are in the HTH. If you want to find that in the content browser, made that quite easy. It's in this folder called HTH component. In the future there will be another project I'll be making, not sure when, and it will have different styles in it, and you can click on the style and that would have the H component file in it too. And here's the blank HTH if you want to populate your own one. That's covered in the previous video. Right, so set moves is where we were, and if we are throw, we're going to go to check throw for validity. The rest of this is for handling other throws, combinations and whatnot. In theory you might be able to chain throws together, but I haven't tried it. Right, making sure this is gonna process the buttons, see if the throw is valid, and if it is, it's gonna grab the output strike data and set that to current move, and it's gonna play it. Yeah, this clears all the stuff out, executes the move and stuff. Right, so that all gets the animation playing. And then as for the animations, this throw in this one, in this kickboxing one, happens to be called head trip. Right, I'll show you this one first. Yeah, here we've got our anim notify, so that's where the sphere trace comes up, and he's grabbing his enemy there, and then in the enemies one, this is where you've got the throw damage. And as you can see, that's another anim notify. Now if I open up the side, K-box side anim, well, it's going to be called side, it's going to be called, the style may be in a shortened way, side anim. You crack this baby open, and yeah, we've got throw damage here, and firing off throw, well, first of all firing a throw, and then in the enemy it's throw damage, and this throw damage is firing off this, and throw is firing off Ice Striker. That's gone, which is the track I've just showed you. That isn't. Yeah, that's it. Striker. Yeah. let's show you that track. I don't think it's that. Transmit damage. It's transmit damage, event striker. If we've gone to throw there and throw is checked, then we go to attempt throw, and then, as you remember earlier, throw and throw ID was set earlier, so it knows which one to go for, figuring out which stance it's in, and then choosing the socket based on that using the throw struct we got right here. And this is the sphere trace. The current movement construct, which is a output strike data struct, tells it the size of the sphere trace. Right, if the sphere trace doesn't get anything and goes through not invalid and comes down to abort the montage, sets it actor to nothing, and depending on the stance it picks the throw abort montage, which was a struct I don't think I mentioned, but it's in the same folder. And then when that's done, it enables the montage and clears the button array. And if it gets anything, set and hit actor, saying it's mid-throw to keep everything synced up, and disable and enable the inputs as needed. And what's happening here is this is recording the enemy's position. Yeah, you're getting the world transform, and this is a transform as well, and it's getting the enemy's well positioned so it can put it back at the end of the move. Yeah, and then we're detaching the mesh from the actor, so basically the character hasn't moved but its mesh has moved, which can bring up a lot of bugs, partly why that kind of thing is one of the reasons why there's so many parts to this that I should bloody get rid of. This might not be here because obviously I've decided I don't need it. That's going to be gone in the update, right? Yeah, and you're setting a new transform, right? Dealing is getting owner's mesh, getting a transform. And I was saying, look, you've both got the same transform, because if you remember right, in the animation, they were both at the 0 location. They had the same. They've got the same location, and we're not changing the side, so we're just giving them the same transform. And we're setting the throw damage in the H2H structs ready for when the animation tells it to apply it. There's a slight delay because to prevent a glitch, because there's a lot of things going on at the same time in this. Checking what starts we're in, what throw we're doing, so we can get the enemy montage. And then it's going to the event I've been thrown, which I'm going to show you in a little while. And then we're ending mid-throw to tell the side view character, this is just the H2H, but there's you might have seen an enable montage and an enable montage by balls. That's so that it knows when to enable and disable the inputs. And then in the enemy, or the hit actor as it's called here, we are getting this H2H component and firing off this event, I've been thrown, which is in the corner right here under throw mechanics like all the rest of them. And then disabling blocking, so yeah, because if you're being thrown, that usually counters a block. So mid throw is sorts out all the inputs. Well, yeah, and they tells the HH what's going on, so it can handle inputs and enable them, disable them, all that. And then we are playing the montage. I've got an event called start, because I haven't always chopped off the first few frames. I've just put an event in where it says start, and you might notice the reactions to being thrown, or the enemy animations have some of them are called something like start 20. Yeah, so I put my little flag at start 20. This disables the montage, so you can't add another one in while they've been thrown. The new stance the enemy is going to be in the throw struct, and then this puts it in the stance. Pretty sure I don't need two of them there. That might get updated. Yeah, not update. That's not going to be there. Yeah, I remember I was trying a lot of stuff to get this to work. That's less work for the computer, isn't it? Right, and re-enable montage with balls right at the end. But before that, we have this little monster. Now sometimes the mesh still floats in the air. I'm trying to find out what else is going wrong. No. This puts the mesh back in its original position. Force to ground is down here, I think. Is it? No, it isn't. Right. Anyway, reset mesh. Yeah, there it is. Force to ground. Yeah, so if we're forcing to ground, we're going over here. Oh, it's not in the throw struct. Well, sometimes you might want to do it other times as well. I think it's in the might be in output strike data. Yeah, getting ground Z, that fires a line trace down. He goes, there's ground, I'm going to put myself there, basically. Right. So we'll reset mesh, won't we? Teleport to original position. That's teleport enemy back to original position after animation. Reset mesh. So we're forced him to the ground. Put in a tiny little delay. Reattach the skeleton. Set the rotation and location, and then here, yeah, we're trying to make sure it's actually on the ground. And attaching it all back together again, ending the mid-throw thing, and then enabling montage. If I'm not mistaken, yeah, that's everything. That's how the throws work, or at least the throws that put the enemy back into its original position. currently working on one where you can switch the position of both characters, but at the moment it looks a little rough. I'm doing that in my own game, but at the moment I've got that working. I'll add that to this. Thank you very much, and goodbye.